I read a book called The Four Agreements. It was very powerful and brought me a lot of awareness. And it outlines our belief system that we've created through being domesticated as children. And that this belief system is the fog between who we think we are and who we really are. And
can be. Or it could be the clarity that is known by the broader source within you. In other words, you have options of what you believe. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking, and so we cannot put beliefs in only the category of fog. They could be in the category of clarity also.
Correct. So can you give me some advice on finding the courage to deconstruct old belief systems that are limiting? And
well, the nice thing about it is the deconstruction process is easier than it sounds, and it's not really about deconstructing as much as it is bridging, and it's not really as much about digging out those old beliefs and replacing them with new ones as it is just replacing them with new ones. Because while you're digging out the old belief, you're practicing it. Mm-hmm. And then the momentum of it continues to bring you more realization and more manifestation that makes you believe it all the more. So it really is about the basis of understanding that. Esther argued with us about this in the beginning. She would say, Abraham, but it's true. And we would say there are a lot of things that are true that you don't want to live. So don't let your criteria be, if it's true, let your criteria be, is it something that I want? So it's a matter of putting your mind in the direction of wanted and practicing it until it is easier. But don't jump in on the hardest part when the momentum's strong. That the story that we tell about momentum is standing at the top of the hill in San Francisco, deciding that you'll push your car just to see what happens. So you take it out of gear and you take the brake off and you nudge it a little and it starts to move right away. Well, if you realize immediately that you didn't mean that, and you step out in front of it and you let it bump up against you, you could stop the car easily. But if you're at the bottom of the hill trying to stop the car, it's a whole different thing. And so that's the way these beliefs are. Don't try to change beliefs when there is a lot of momentum. In other words, start the changes when there is no momentum or little momentum. Do you have an example of a belief that you would like to replace? Let us just say something first. You can tell which beliefs you want to replace by the way you feel. In other words, if something constantly is making you feel bad, what that's saying is you've got something really active in your vibration that Source doesn't agree with. So it isn't that you want to change your mind, it's that you want to deactivate it. That's a really good word. You want to deactivate it. Well, how do you deactivate something? You can't really deactivate something because while you're looking at the thing you want to deactivate, you're activating it. You're adding momentum to it. So you deactivate one belief by activating another. And it's just a matter of which beliefs you're giving more airtime to. Mm-hmm. Every subject is really two subjects. On one end of the stick is the unwanted, or the absence of wanted, and on the other end of the stick is the wanted. And you can tell by the way you feel which end is most active within you. So, is there something specific that you want to focus on?
No, I have another question. I had really bad back issues over the past couple of years, and I reached a point where I said, this is enough, I need to get healthy, and I meditated on it, and didn't meditate on the how, just on the visualizing myself as healthy and strong. Good. And before I knew it, I realized that I was there. And
so how did you deconstruct that old belief?
By believing that I couldn't get there.
So what you did was you just focused upon what you wanted,
right.
Activated what you wanted, and in activating what you wanted, you deactivated what you didn't want, and your body conformed to the dominant vibration within you. Correct. So you just answered your own question. Yeah. Do that.
Yes. Follow on to that is that the way I feel that my body got healthy was I was led to a inspiration of nutrition and the importance of what you put in your body really does affect your well-being.
Yeah.
And so
Path of least resistance.
and I want to help people realize that because it's something that's very powerful and did a lot for me. So the concept of you can think yourself to well-being is, I think, for me, it led me to the inspiration to try this new concept.
Well, we really are appreciating the words that you're offering here, because you can think yourself to well-being means you can find a vibration that will lead you to the impulses that will help you find your unique path of least resistance to what you're looking for.
Right.
But sometimes people want to take that so literally. I'm just going to think myself into well-being, which means I'll never eat anything, I'll never drink anything, and we say it's going to be a short journey for you. Of course, the inspiration to act is part of the process. Yeah, really good.
Thank you.
Something more?
I know this sounds kind of silly, but
Nothing does. Oh, wait, that is. No.
I'm going to say it anyway. Can you, because I asked myself, if I could ask infinite intelligence one question, what would it be? And there was a lot, but this one's just something that I think is kind of silly, but I always pondered about the dinosaurs and our world before humans evolved and became. And I was wondering, you could talk about that.
They were big. They were...
And why we did not exist with them.
They were not unlike you, in that they were the precursor to that which is you. Mm-hmm. They were exploring the atmosphere. They were the leading edge of thought. Mm-hmm. They were the dominant vibration at the time. They were... a source was flowing through them as source now flows through you. What's hard to contemplate about that? In other words, isn't it easy to
Yes.
acknowledge that the way we like to approach the past is by standing in the now and looking forward, which is odd, but this combination of beings has never been before, and so the universe has just expanded as a result of this focus, and it's always been thus. Mm-hmm. So if you're asking, was there something before this that's happening now, of course the obvious question is yes, and how and so much more than you have any historical or geological evidence of. Mm-hmm. But there's been much that has gone before, and there's much that is coming next. Our question to you is, how make that relevant to yourself?
I don't know.
So what's the curiosity about the dinosaurs?
It's just interesting, the world before us.
It's a big subject that takes a long time to get the momentum going on it. But we don't think your question is as frivolous as you make it out to be, mm-hmm. and it isn't as uninteresting to people as you might think. It is something that is on the minds of people often enough that it is a discussion worth having. So everything that is physical is an extension of that which is non-physical. Because everything that exists that is tangible is that which is exaggerated energy. Everything that is physical is perceptual. In other words, our conversation earlier today, your eyes interpret the vibration, and that's why you see. So this physical world that feels so real is actually a perceptual world that feels real because you perceive it to be real. So the dinosaurs were the extension of source energy, and they lived in their perceptual world. And in other words, they were the eyes through which source was seen. Mm-hmm. The other day, Esther's grandchildren were on the property riding on some little electric scooters that she had purchased for them. And Esther and her daughter, their mother, was riding on the golf cart around the property with them. And they were everywhere on the property. It's 40 acres, and there are roads all around, all over it. And they were everywhere on the property for a few hours. And then they got on the golf cart and went where scooters can't go. Back in the bushes, on trails that aren't really trails yet. Esther's favorite thing is to scrape someone off on a tree somehow. The soft cedar trees scraping across their little faces delights Esther and them. They're having a very good time. But several times, maybe 30 times during that day, when they would arrive to the destination, because someone would say, let's go there, and off they'd go, trying to find path of least resistance. Let's go there, and off they'd go, trying to find path of least resistance. And when they would get there, Roadrunner would be standing there waiting for them, as if he was anticipating where they were going there on an even path of lesser resistance, and waiting for them over and over and over again. And then Luke said, Grandma, I think that Jerry is using that Roadrunner's eyes to watch what we're doing today. And Esther knew it too. So Source is always exploring and experiencing what you've got going on through all of your eyes. And that early exploration and consideration and decision making about this planet was made through the eyes of those early inhabitants.
Thank you.
They are your predecessors, you see. And much of who they were is still here. And when you stop needing to make a distinction between which aspect of human experience Source is flowing through, and you accept that Source is peering through all of it, even bacteria, even one-celled organisms, even the cells in your body, and certainly your eyes, then you begin to understand the orchestration and the creation that is really going on here in this environment. For those that call it random, they could not be further from an understanding. For those who think that it is only about evolution, it is about evolution, but it is about consciousness involved in evolution, you see. Source is expanding, as is everything on this planet. And that's the part that makes it confusing to humans when you think about the past. You have assigned Source the position of not expanding, not realizing that Source is in the expansion process too. And so we are all about evolution. We are all about expansion. We are all about more. And we are all about starting with what is and expanding from there. This planet is just beginning. You are not in the final stages of it. This planet could not be in greater well-being. The well-being will always be dominant. This planet is an extension of that which is Source, which means that this planet is in good hands. But the newness that this planet is becoming is not because Source is deciding and assigning it. It's because you all are living it, and to the degree that you are in sync and in conjunction and in concert with Source, that is what is causing the expansion of the universe. In other words, a whole lot of you could be all disconnected, not tuned in, not turned on, not tapped in, just banging around, having sort of miserable lives. You are not part of the process of the expansion in the way that those who are tuned in, tapped in, turned on are. Because your impulses, your cellular evolution is happening in conjunction with your alignment. Does that make sense to you? In other words, when you are thriving, it is that thriving aspect of this physical population that is always where Source is flowing. Every part of it. We know we gave you more than you were reaching for, but there is no discussion that we enjoy more than the expansion of what you all have going on, because we cannot separate our expansion from yours. They are one and the same.